Well, folks, today on Rethink Real Estate, we're back with Mr. Tech Tony. Excited to have Tony on the journey with us as we go through this every month to give us a bit of an update on the AI and the technology side of the business. Today, we're going to talk quickly about DeepSeek. You might have heard it in the media. The main reason that I bring this up is not from a perspective to make this any a technical podcast, but does it change anything that we're doing from a real estate perspective? Do we need to use ChatGPT or other products or whatever it is, or do we need to look at DeepSeek? And if you don't know what DeepSeek is, it's a Chinese-based AI that came in and disrupted the AI industry there in the last week from a cost perspective. They've been able to build a large language model at a very, very cheap rate, which then made everybody else think that, oh, these billions of dollars that is going into the AI community and the services surrounding that, we might not have to invest that much money anymore. So it did disrupt things a little. And I just want to make sure that from Tony's perspective that it doesn't change course on anything that we're doing. The other thing that Tony goes through today is a really great practical tip of a video product that you can do without actually having to be on camera. You don't even have to do your own voiceover and you can train your own voice. It's a really great idea from a property tour perspective and getting as much content out there as you possibly can. Hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only is back with Rethink Real Estate, Mr. Tech Tony.
Howdy.
Tony, I have to admit, it's funny, I didn't realize the appetite for agents when it came to this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they constantly are asking questions about things that are going on. Do you think, and I'm putting it out there as somebody that's a technologist, so to speak, but also real estate, do you think that people are so interested in this because they're hoping that it's the silver bullet to getting easy deals?
Oh, yeah. Everybody wants the silver bullet. I mean, that's the one thing, too, after selling for such a long time, when you tell them what you need to do to actually make it a go at real estate, they don't want to hear it. They want to hear it's like, oh, we want the silver bullet. And all this talk about artificial intelligence and robots and androids and DeepSeek and everything else, it just makes it so they can just stay at home and become a YouTube star.
Yeah, that's it. So speaking of, you've said the word DeepSeek, that's what I want to dive into and from a relevance perspective, because we want to we're filming these close to the release date to make sure that they're as relevant as possible.
Sure.
There's been a lot of hype over the last, 7 odd days or so where, you've seen the better part of $2 trillion be wiped out of the stock market from NVIDIA, from, you've got, there's the energy companies that are specializing in how to bring, nuclear energy back into the play in order to fuel all of these data centers, because there's been a great deal of speculation around how much this is going to cost to really bring AI to ahead into the mainstream of things and how much it's going to cost ongoing. But then DeepSeek, for those that don't know DeepSeek, it's a Chinese-based AI that came out. What is the hype, mate? I just don't understand what the big deal in all of this is.
So it's kind of it's very interesting. So I actually was aware of DeepSeek. They launched it in December earlier. So I've seen it kind of show up in the different technology channels, and everyone was talking about it. And then all of a sudden,
it's just the ChatGPT, right? Is that like what it is, or?
Well, so it's another large language model. It's an LLM that's based upon ChatGPT. So the technical part of it is, and the reason why it freaked everybody out is because this startup company, which is not even focused in artificial intelligence, but they just happen to be really smart. They have one of the youngest and brightest minds in China. Decided to say, okay, let's go ahead and create based on ChatGPT's LLM and using inferior cards. They call it the cards they use to actually train these models for a fraction of the cost. And the way they did it was different. They, instead of kind of creating, because a lot of these large language models, the way it works is basically they take a ton of computing power, energy. They take all this data and they let it sit there for weeks and just kind of marinate. And then they have the newest model. That's why when you talk about ChatGPT, which is very confusing to a lot of people. And the thing is this for normal people, it doesn't really matter. But from a technical standpoint, this is where it freaked everybody out because there's all this huge investments. And we also, too, the one thing that really kind of unnerved everyone is how they went about it using the existing model and the huge investments that we've been making as these companies. That's where it caused a big pause, and that's where it really hit the market. So so that's kind of in a nutshell. Their approach to it was new. They basically all they did, and again, we don't know the facts. I mean, we hear it from them, so we're assuming it's true. They
But
use
because we don't have any real insight into the Chinese into the Chinese side of things, is that you don't know what's true and what isn't when they're saying that they did it for. I think the news was $8 million. They trained this model where it's been
right.
billions of dollars to get ChatGPT to where it is now. But they're saying also that they've obviously copied and they stood on the shoulders of ChatGPT. But let's bring this back to a probably relevant question to the real estate community. Does this change anything that we're doing at the moment from looking at different products and different stuff? Because all I can see is it might be a positive that the cost to consumer actually gets driven down to actually use this stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. So the how it applies to just normal consumers and real estate in general is that you think of it this way. Right before we were the only game, so all you heard about was American companies just dominating the AI space, and then all of a sudden you got because I mean China's smart. They got a lot of smart people there, and they took something and they approached it differently by using the existing tools. And they used ChatGPT over and over to create that, and the model itself is legit. It's also open source. It's free. So as developers, you can download their little model, DeepSeek model, and I have it installed on my laptop here, and I can use it and I can query it. Now you could connect to the DeepSeek to China, but just be aware that again, it's filtered based upon who controls the large language model. All of them are, and then your data is going to China. So I wouldn't encourage that for agents in general. But what we're going to see is that because it had such an impact on the market, it actually might help on mortgage rates, believe it or not, because it really kind of just that emergence was just such a significant shift.
It took the inflationary side of things out of it. You know what I mean? So it could help. Yeah.
Right. And then on the other two items too, I mean, because of these models, there's such everybody wants them, and it still needs the data center. So that whole initiative that was put through the government is still absolutely necessary. You need tremendous amount of power. I mentioned nuclear plants. They're actually having like mini nuclear plants. Also, the facilities to warehouse these data centers. And then on top of it too, competition. Competition is not bad. It kind of keeps us on our game. Mark Andreessen, who's an absolute expert, genius, one who developed Netscape, Mozilla. He, when they first came out, everyone he said this is our Sputnik moment for AI, and that's what really fueled America's race to go to the moon. The same thing is it kind of put us back on, taking us off that pedestal that we're the best, and said, no, you know what? There's competition out there, and this competition is going to help, and it will help drive costs down. Because if you have just a monopoly, that's not a good thing. By having alternate solutions, that's good for everybody. And that's going to help the industry in general by offering different types of tools that are cheaper and better for everyone involved.
Yeah, great. Well, again, mate, I appreciate you giving us the insight. As much as it, is might be irrelevant to some people, they might think that it's not right. It's obviously very important to keep finger on the pulse. I think you've made an incredible point that I actually haven't thought of there. It probably does help us with maybe some possibility of relief in the interest rates later on in the year, because now it's sort of, there's definitely. I looked at the stock market just before jumping on here, and none of those stocks have really regained what they lost from all of that. So it might actually take some of the inflationary worry, because if you think about it, the inflation has really been fueled by just a few companies, and most of that is within the AI space or has some affiliation within that space or the hype around that space. So I think that this might actually help with giving us some reprieve in the real estate market to get people a little bit more active. There's no question about it. But moving and shifting gears over to some more practical stuff, Tony, you've got a couple of things or one real thing that I'm interested to hear about that from a tool and resource that agents could possibly use within their business.
Yeah. So one thing that I've always want to encourage agents to do their job, which is sales. Now, marketing is a part of it. And one thing that that agents are great at, but some don't like to do, is videos, just like tips, things that they know, local information. I talk to agents all the time, and some of them are just don't want to be on the camera. Now, some love the camera, and we know those agents because they love.
And some shouldn't love the camera.
Yeah, and you want to kind of make it sure I can show you. It's like, oh boy, I sometimes unfollow certain agents because it is just too much. And especially when they start going to the deep end. I'm not going to get in the deep end when they go to. But for those who you need to actually create content, and video is an important part of that, especially shorts. So like on Instagram, on Facebook. And so there's a thing called the faceless videos. And a faceless video is a simple thing where you just have it narrated and you just have pictures and videos show up, and you can send these either through Instagram, that kind of thing. There's the best tool for this is like the top tool for creating. And actually, I've created an hour-long faceless video on the local. It's a 4-part series on Palos Verdes. I had also all this content on my local area, very dense history stuff that no one ever was going to read. And I went ahead and I had ChatGPT create a script. Then I uploaded to this site called InVideo. It's INVIDEO.io, not .com, .io. And it created an hour-long just with music. And it does what's nice. It has like little snippets. And the way, if you ever notice and watch people how they create videos, you have to have like a shift, like every 3 seconds or 5 seconds, It shifts from different angle, pulls in, pulls out. So it does it automatically. It creates the clips for you, or you can actually upload your clips. I did something, I was like showing this to a group of people, how great this is. And I just did one on why Great Danes are a gentle giant. ChatGPT gave me a little thing. And actually, you don't even have to go to ChatGPT. InVideo has built-in AI where you can just put in your subject and it will create the whole thing for you.
I'm thinking,
what's also, go ahead.
Sorry, Tony. I'm thinking about this because one of the things that I remember a couple of years ago, somebody's like, "Well, how do I build as much content as I possibly can?" I'm like, well, you've got to start off with, let's say it's real estate related, and they're like, "Well, yeah, but I don't have any listings or anything like that." Yeah, but your office has listings, and also there's broker open. So go and take a tour, get on your phone, okay, and walk through the property. Then you can actually do a voiceover of that video, and you can upload, "Hey guys, here's a new listing of 123 Smith Street. It's 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. As you can see here, it's a beautifully remodeled kitchen in this part of it, blah, 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 blah." I'm thinking about this, Tony. Maybe you don't even need to go tour the property. You could just staple all of the photos into it and then like do some format of a virtual tour in that sense to show people new listings that hit the marketplace.
Yeah, be careful you own the photos, but you can absolutely do that. And another item as well is that you can actually, you're an expert in the area. So the reason why clients work with you is that, I mean, I'll be at an open house or we have a sale and they'll ask, "Okay, what about this?" I say, "Oh yeah, there's a great restaurant nearby. Here's one of the things, the school system, and this particular school has this thing going on." Or just like the little kind of items, there's a hiking trail nearby. There's tremendous amount of content. There's no reason why you shouldn't have something out there because you as an agent, you understand, you're the local expert. So you can get something real quick. And now what's cool about InVideo is that you say, "Okay, here's the information I want." And then you can actually train your voice. So you don't even have to do the voiceover.
Right.
It will actually do your voice for you. And it's not like best of breed is called 11 Labs, but this one is really good. So I train my voice on this and it has, it does the whole, so there's no reason why you can just put out endless video.
So Tony, it doesn't sound robotic in any way or anything like that when you're doing the voiceover?
No. That's what's so scary. So there's like 2 different types of faceless videos. This is a true faceless video and this is like where you'll see shorts and that kind of thing where it'll drop in automatically little bits of video that you can use it. It's all copyrighted. Everything's good. Or you can put your own video. Or you can just have pictures and it does that Ken Burns effect where it kind of pulls it in and pulls it out. And then your voice is what you can actually use it to train it. It's your voice. So it's you reading that hour-long thing on Palos Verdes, which I would never do. Or I can use one of the voices that are in there, which are very emotive. They do a great job. And then it's like really crazy. So the other site, 11 Labs, that's all they live to do. That's how you can basically take a sample voice, you can create it any type, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Not robotic at all. It's nice.
Calista got mine done on 11 Labs, and Tony, because of the Australian accent, she had to misspell words so that it enunciated them correctly. So when we would say auction, it'd come out and say auction. Okay, so she had to spell it differently to get it to say it like I say it. But again, it's because of the Australian accent. Okay,
that's interesting. So your Australian accent, because it does a really good job. Maybe because I have a California, they call it a California neutral accent. So Californians in general, they don't have an accent. It's neutral from what I understand. But it'd be interesting, like to take someone like say from New York or like from Boston and just see what you would get from that. That would be really cool.
Courtney thinks she has a Boston accent, but she doesn't anymore.
She doesn't.
She's lost it. She's lost it.
Yeah.
So, mate, one final question, and I haven't prepped you for this, so you might not have the answer to it right now, but that's okay. But I want to start asking on our episodes quickly, just to sort of end it out here, because we want to keep them short, sharp, and to the point. But I just wanted to know, over the last month, has there been any prompt that you've typed into ChatGPT or any of the large language models that you've been really surprised with, or anything relevant to real estate? Is there a prompt that you've tested out over the last month that you've been really, really surprised with?
So I type in a lot of prompts, and the one thing that I've been probably the most blown away with is that we're starting to create custom GPTs for my agents, and the interaction of creating Facebook posts. So it's not necessarily like the prompt itself, but we take a prompt that's a Facebook expert. So it's not like one, but rather it's maybe 2 or 3 pages. And you say, you're a Facebook expert, you are in real estate. And then what the best way to do it is that I provided all the samples of good, high quality Facebook posts. Mm-hmm. And then you use that as its brain, its intelligent brain. And then that combination and what we get from it is just mind blowing. It does, because I would never be able to create those kind of posts because I just don't think that way. So the combination of setting the stage of like, okay, you are this kind of expert, to tell it what to do, and then add samples of it to show actually good, high profiling, the ones that are actually gotten good posts, is really what it's a game changer for prompting. A lot of people think prompting should be very, it depends, but you want to add some depth to it if you really want to get the great results. That's one thing that's really surprised me this past few weeks.
Right. Okay. And I guess that if creating your own personalized GPT is, again, just going on to ChatGPT and then creating a customized one and then spending the time to upload the content to that so that it learns the content that you want. Is that right?
Well, kind of. So you have to have a subscription for $20, and you can create as many GPTs as you like. And then all you do is you take a sample of your writing and you have ChatGPT analyze it for style. Then you use that as your prompt. And then you ideally take samples of other documents you've written to use that as a reference point. And then you have something that writes just like you.
Yeah, right. And again, using those phrases like what you've shown us in the past of you're an expert within this, or you explain it to me as if I'm a 10-year-old, or using those different prompts. It's not so much what you ask it, it's what you ask it in context to that detail that you need at that point, right?
Right. And the one thing that a lot of people don't do is they don't start new sessions. And it's if you do a new session, it basically resets ChatGPT back to the main the core where it knows where you're at. That way you have a nice fresh, and you can actually ask it questions about other items inside the conversation previously. That's a big thing too, because it gets kind of messy if you have, I was talking to, especially if most agents are ADD and they kind of jump, like, it's, look, it's a rabbit, they start talking about something else. And then all of a sudden, like, ChatGPT goes, well, why are we talking about this? And then it doesn't give a good response. So if you start fresh each and every time with that particular topic, you're going to do really well.
Tony, as always, thank you for your insights and your explanation as we navigate through this curvy and windy and turbulent world. Either way, we're happy to have you as our shepherd, so to speak, that leads us through it. Thanks again, mate, for jumping on Rethink Real Estate, and we'll see you next time.
Appreciate it. See you next time.
So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.